Hello and welcome to a special emergency edition of Why Wasn't It Better? I'm your host, Patrick Darms.
And I'm your co-host, Anton Paras.
I call this an emergency episode, Anton, because the film that we're covering today as a special weekend release deals with I would say, fairly serious emergency, wouldn't you?
I think that it's so serious you have to take a look at it 3 different times.
Or 4?
Or 4? But did it really need that many looks?
It didn't. I will not bury the lead here. This movie is a pyramid scheme. So if you are interested in watching a pyramid scheme, check out House of Dynamite.
I'm trying to think of like other fraudulent examples. Chris Paul, fraudulent competitor.
You were all gung-ho when he joined your team a couple years ago.
Of course I was excited because I want to have hope.
Why were you excited? He was like 38.
Because again, I want to be. It's not because I can sit in reality. It's because I wanted to believe. But the reality is Chris Paul is fraudulent.
Joel Embiid, fraud.
Trae Young, fraud.
Yeah, could do a whole podcast.
Oh, you know what? You know who's a huge fraud? John Morant.
Mike Trout,
fraudulent.
Nah, I'm kidding, but not really. How about try to compete? Do you want to play in October or do you not? Because it doesn't seem like you care.
But listeners, you've heard a few different examples now. We've thrown some very, very hot takes around just in association with this film. But yeah, Pat, my goodness, this film. What did we watch?
We are talking about A House of Dynamite, which is the newest film from Kathryn Bigelow, who is, really one of the better filmmakers of the 21st century. She's done some great work.
Yeah, I love Blue Streak.
Did she direct that?
No, she did Blue Steel.
Okay, I was going to say, I like Blue Streak, but that would have been an odd choice for her.
Martin Lawrence.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Luke Wilson, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Dave Chappelle's in that movie.
That's right. Same era as Black Knight.
Yes, it was. This is when Martin Lawrence was an item. Kathryn Bigelow, around the same time, I believe, was doing K-19, The Widowmaker, which is a movie I kind of like, although I don't really think it's well thought of.
It's well thought of if you were at the time, or if you grew up watching TNT and saw K-19, The Widowmaker on all the time.
I'm glad it found a second life because I think it made like negative $50 million at the box office or something.
It did not do well.
No. Do you like it too? Am I the only one?
It's not like my favorite, but I think it's pretty good. It has a really cool cast.
It has Harrison Ford attempting a Russian accent.
Mr. Neeson.
Right. Also attempting a Russian accent. Probably better than his American accent. Speaking of questionable American accents, there's a few in this film that we're discussing. Have you noticed, listeners, we're already attempting to move away from discussing this film?
Yeah, just because that is the entertainment factor we have here. Should we try to zig back?
Yeah, we should. Look, we're doing this as kind of a bonus episode of sorts. I feel bad for making you watch this because I kind of forced this upon us, didn't I?
Well, you know what? It's topical because it's hilarious when I see people try to argue in this film's favor.
I'm sure there are some that would.
It's like, this is the film you want to fight for.
Longtime listeners probably know us enough by this point. We hated this movie. We really did. Anton, why don't you intro this, and I will at least try to justify why I think it was a good selection for Why Wasn't It Better, because I do.
All right. Well, a single, unattributed intercontinental ballistic missile is launched toward the United States, triggering a race against time within the government to determine who's responsible and how to respond. The president and his entourage must use the limited time they have to try and shoot down the missile before it reaches Chicago. Released on October 10th, 2025 by Netflix, directed by Kathryn Bigelow, screenplay by Noah Oppenheim, starring Idris Elba, Rebecca Ferguson, Gabriel Basso, Jared Harris, Tracy Letts, Anthony Ramos, Moses Ingram, Greta Lee, and Jason Clarke. With a budget of something.
We don't know.
Something million, which of course is something adjusted for inflation, with a box office of something million. Again, it's just streaming. So
just streaming.
Nothing, no millions adjusted that we know of yet. It sits at a 79 Rotten Tomatoes score.
What do you think the budget was? It's got to be over $100 million, right? With all the big names in here. Knowing what you know about Netflix and how they operate.
Yeah, I'd have to. I think that's a fair bet. At least in this day and age, at least.
Would you like to know why I chose this?
No, because I'm just upset.
I know. You're possibly more upset than I am. Look, I stand by it. This was a worthy selection for the podcast. Kathryn Bigelow is a filmmaker whose work I'm always interested in seeing. I'm a fan of her work. I think she's one of the better filmmakers working today. I hadn't heard her name mentioned in a while, and it kind of makes sense because she doesn't work that much anymore. This is only the third film that she's directed since winning all those awards for The Hurt Locker in 2009. I didn't see Detroit, but I really like Zero Dark 30. That's a film that we're going to be covering at some point. And Anton, maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I feel like this film, A House of Dynamite, pretty much came out of nowhere. I hadn't seen much promotion for it.
No, it also wasn't something that was suggested to me until leading up to the film's release. I think to be fair, there's also a lot of content on Netflix. So,
right. But would you agree, though, based on Bigelow's involvement, based on the cast, based on the subject matter, looked good, looked promising?
Yeah, it how do I put this? It smells to me like they wanted to go for the Oscar.
When I saw the trailer for this, when I logged into Netflix, which is, it must have been like a week or two before this came out, I watched the whole trailer and I came away thinking probably what you and many others did, which is instant watch. I'm definitely checking that out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I forced you to watch it after I watched it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, my experience with this film is Pat saying, yeah, let's cover this. And I'm like, well, okay. And the more I watch it, the more displeased I am. And I think very similarly, I didn't see a ton of hype trailer-wise. But that's, to be fair, there are a lot of films that I feel like they don't necessarily need months leading up to it to see like, oh, this looks good on paper. And I think this is one of those films where on paper it like looks really good.
That's Netflix for you, though, right? I mean, they pump. You mentioned this earlier. They pump out so much original content that sometimes, frankly, a lot of what they do gets lost in the shuffle. But based on the cast and crew, this is a very high-profile project. This is a very high-profile film,
especially in a year where there's a lot of questions around the strength of like original stories. It's also, I did want to note, cool that it's not off of the only positive I could really think of. It's a pretty original story on its own.
It is. I would say the concept of imminent nuclear war has been done plenty of times in film. However, it's usually a period piece involving the Cold War. To your point, I can't think of one that takes place in the modern day like this. Now, I'm sure there are some. I just haven't seen them. It's not credited, but this film seems to have been inspired by a recent book called Nuclear War, A Scenario by Anne Jacobson. Now, the rights to this book have been purchased by Legendary Entertainment. Denis Villeneuve's name is attached to it.
Mr. Dune.
I don't know if they're actually going to move forward with it after this film. Well, we'll see. I don't know. Have you read that book by any chance?
No.
It is worth a read. It is basically a nonfiction account of how our government, the American government, would deal with imminent nuclear war. And it goes into our strategic response, how we would handle such a crisis in real time, what the fallout would be. In many ways, depressing.
So interestingly enough, of course, after watching the film, I did want to read on the procedure. A lot of this film feels like a procedural.
For sure.
And I think that that to me is fascinating. Like, okay, how do we respond? What is the order of operation, or what's the chain of command? And it's that is fascinating. I don't want that to be twisted.
It is fascinating, but I have to say, having read the book, and I do recommend the book, but I realized after reading it that I don't want to know any more about this stuff. Like, it didn't do me any good to read it.
I think maybe that's when it comes down to storytelling. Maybe that's when it comes down to character development or lack thereof, or just like how do you take an idea to adapt the urgency of a situation?
Right.
Maybe
And this is
maybe that's
heavy.
it.
And this is about as
Yeah.
heavy as it gets. I'll say one thing, it certainly strengthened my faith.
But I'm sure you'll also agree with this too, Pat. The subject matter's been approached before, and there are other films that have approached this conversation much more effectively.
Yes, because this movie sucks. Well, let's talk
Amen to
about
that.
it then.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. The only production history note that I wrote down that I felt was worthwhile was part of filming was done in Trenton, New Jersey. Shout out. I used to live right around there.
Trenton, New Jersey, is that the part of the state that has Wawa?
They have Wawa there.
All right, cool.
They do.
Nice.
Yeah, I believe, what's the most northern Wawa in New Jersey? Somewhere around Edison, New Brunswick, somewhere around there.
Okay. I know
Not too far north of there.
at a certain part of the state, I'm pretty sure you get sheets.
Well, that's more of a PA thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And look, I might not have all these details correct. Just get your facts elsewhere.
But listeners, if you've ever been curious about regional, truck stop convenience stores?
Yeah, I mean, to call Wawa a convenience store is a bit of a misnomer. It's much more than that.
It's an experience.
It's somewhat of an experience. They actually have some in North Carolina, nowhere near me, but they do exist here, is what I've been told.
I was gonna say in North Carolina. I mean, do you have like a Buc-ee's or no?
I think we might be getting one, or we might already have one, but again, it's not near me.
We don't have anything that cool convenience store wise. We have very basic 7-Elevens.
That's true, because for all of its wonderful merits, California doesn't know what to do with a sandwich. It just doesn't. Sorry.
It's either I'm paying $25 for $30 for an artisan sandwich that tastes pretty good, but it's nothing quite to the level of convenience and ease to get a decent one on the East Coast.
I'm glad you mentioned the price, because that's the whole point. Like, a good sandwich should not be more than $7 or $8.
And I know that firsthand, just walking to a bodega and just wanting a sandwich.
Get that chopped cheese.
But
look at us not talking about House of Dynamite again. Yes,
All
this
right.
was partially filmed in Trenton, New Jersey. Shout out to Trenton, New Jersey. Kathmandu. That was a club that I would hope doesn't exist anymore, because it was a cesspool. Anyway, would you like to talk about why this wasn't better, Anton?
Well, I guess we have no other choice. But what's our number one reason, Pat? What's our number one reason?
I wrote down the first act versus the others. I want to say that this is one of the most dramatic second half drop-offs I've ever seen in a movie, except that wouldn't be correct, because this film doesn't have a second half.
Yeah, so any listeners, if you haven't seen it, there's about it's an 18 minutes of time elapse, right? And it's from the perspective of different groups, how that time passes and what occurs from their different perspectives. And 4 times, is that right?
Yeah, I think you see the basic story in the first 30-40 minutes, and then they retell that same story, I think, 3 more times.
You get the aftermath, kind of.
Do you get the aftermath?
Like I said, kind of.
There's just a couple of funny tweets I was reading about this movie. I wrote some of them down. One one X user called this cinematic blue balls. Another said, just sat through the worst staffed, most boring conference call in cinematic history 3 times.
Yeah, I agree with you that the first part is very compelling. Because
I didn't even say it was compelling. You just, that's your own words.
Dramatic.
I didn't say that either. These are your words.
Yeah. No, so these are my words. Compelling in the sense of we get a very compelling premise. Something is happening. Chicago is going to get hit with a missile.
Right.
That's compelling.
By the way, to be completely serious, I do agree with you that the first part of this movie is very compelling. In fact, I was on the edge of my seat. It's great filmmaking. The problem is this is a 40-minute short film that gets stretched into 2 hours because of what I would refer to as idiotic storytelling.
I think this is just my take. Disjointed story point of views and unconventional storytelling. I've seen it much more successfully in other films, but in this film, it just felt a bit pedantic. like going through the same motions. Nothing really necessarily added to add depth to the situation.
It's very frustrating because you're right. The premise and the setup of this is very compelling. They just don't finish the story. You could cut the tension with a knife in the first 40 minutes. It's really riveting stuff. We get kind of you used the word procedural. It's almost filmed like a documentary. We get military protocols, an inside look at like nuclear response doctrine in real time.
Right.
The performances are all believable, accents aside. Rebecca Ferguson is really good. She is basically, what is her role? She's like the White House situation room, like
liaison,
manager,
like the point person.
She's like the shift supervisor, basically. Remember, because when she comes in, she's taking over for someone who was working the night shift or something.
Yeah.
Kind of like she's running a Wawa during the day, but it's the White House situation room. No big deal.
And we got a situation.
We do have a situation. You're right. Yeah, Chicago is on the way to getting nuked, and they don't know where the missile's coming from. They missed the launch. You know, we have all these sophisticated satellites and detection stuff that is supposed to capture in real time. Well, where's the missile originating from?
Yeah,
and they missed it, so they can't figure out who launched the missile. They just know that a missile is in the air, and they try to intercept it, and it fails. And then the rest of there's like a 17-minute counter that's running down, dealing with how the American government leadership, namely the president and other members of the National Security Council, are responding to this in real time. That premise is fascinating.
Yeah, and with that too, you have the ticking clock, and you have all these different characters that feel just the pressure of the moment, whether it's people trying to get a hold of their loved ones, people trying to handle the situation, the president who is beside himself of what decision to make.
We don't see him at first. We just hear his voice.
Right. And I think it's important to consider, again, these are all very compelling things. I think that all makes sense in a political thriller like this.
But they don't finish the story. You know, a counter to this would be like, well, not all stories have to be finished this way. It's a non-traditional way of making a film. Okay, fair, but I have basic requirements that I want from a film. Like, this is a great setup. Just finish it. Give me something. I don't need everything tied up neatly with a bow, but I would have liked to have known what happened. I would have liked to have known what the president decided to do. Give me something.
And people will argue, but that's the point. You're supposed to feel numb by the inaction or the pressure of the moment and inability of action in moments like this. And I'm just like, that's stupid.
I think it's cowardly.
It's a movie. We should have a story told, even if it's an unconventional structure. There should be very clear takeaways and very clear meaning, even with story structure that's, again, unconventional. I mean, do you think it probably threw people for a loop when they saw like Pulp Fiction for the first time? That's just one example of like a film where you have intercut stories told from different perspectives. Non-linear storytelling.
But that's different from this. They didn't do the same story over and over.
Right. But I think it's important to consider, like, in a shared universe, you have different perspectives, not in the same timeline. You have similar characters between the different stories, but then you do get your payoff in the end of what lesson you're trying to learn.
I was trying to think of other movies that did a similar thing, right? Where you were getting different variations of the same story. And one of the ones that sprung to mind was one that came out a few years ago, The Last Duel, which is one of the last decent Ridley Scott movies. Yep, both of us like that.
Matt Damon.
Ben Affleck, Adam Driver. Good cast, really good cast. But if you recall in that, you got the same story told by different people, right? In like the 3 acts of the film. But unlike this film, in The Last Duel, the different variations of the same story gave us different POVs. So essentially we got 3 different stories, and it all served the narrative purpose of helping to support what it was essentially a court case, right? You could almost make a case that The Last Duel is a legal thriller in a way. It's a medieval legal thriller, right?
Yeah, but still it is I would say the shifting viewpoints interlaced with a medieval Law and Order.
Well, and it was interesting because you didn't know who to believe. You're like, oh, well, which story is like more? Which is like the actual story? What is the most accurate representation of events that took place here in this film? A House of Dynamite. They're just telling the same story over and over from different POVs, and it didn't work for me because the structure didn't work. It's diminishing returns.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we get to the second and third POV, the story gets less and less interesting because we already know what happens. They already show us that the missile's about to hit Chicago and the president has to make a decision. We already know that. So they repeated. And also, did you notice they didn't even try to switch it up? Like they were repeating exact same conversations over the 3 different POVs. It didn't add any new information. It didn't really advance the story. They were just rehashing.
And every time you get there, you feel less and less detached from any emotional payoff because you already know what happens.
Which I don't know if it meets the exact definition of this, but this is a movie version of a pyramid scheme. Because it could have been 40 minutes and it turns out to be 2 hours. And by the time it ends, you don't learn anything else. You don't learn anything new. You get introduced to a couple of characters that you haven't seen before, but they don't add anything.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. So I'd say it's a pretty solid reason. We have a promising first act. Oh, well.
We do. Let's talk about the next reason, which is the cast. Great cast on paper.
Oh, yeah.
I like all these actors.
Yeah, it's do you have any favorites in the bunch?
Jared Harris.
King of England?
He does play the King of England. He is really one of my favorite actors. I like him in almost everything I've seen him. We'll get to him a little bit later. I love Idris Elba. I like Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah. Rebecca Ferguson, listeners who may not be familiar with all of her works, she plays the Bene Gesserit mom in Dune.
Yeah, she plays Paul's mother in Dune,
yeah.
Jessica. And then, of course, she has a pretty high-profile role in a couple of the Mission Impossible films. She plays Ilsa. Right.
Probably also pretty big box office for her.
Yeah. Been in a lot of other stuff, too.
Yeah, she was also in that film where I think it's Emily Blunt is just like an alcoholic on the train.
Oh, The Girl on the Train.
Yeah.
Which wasn't as good as it should have been.
Yeah, but I still think about that film.
As someone who used to take that kind of transit regularly, yes, it struck a chord with me. Not a good place to be shit-faced on that train. I mean, even though I have been, but
I think everyone who's ever been shit-faced on a train thought about that film.
Yeah, just don't fall asleep. What time is it? Why did I buy 6 double cheeseburgers at McDonald's in Penn Station? Who knows?
As the train keeps going, you just get sweatier and feel worse.
Pretty much. Yeah. By the way, you can get underrated pizza in Penn Station. Solid pizza.
I'm trying to think where. If you go to the food hall in the basement.
Yes. By the way, listeners who haven't been to Penn Station, that's not a reason to go to Penn Station. Please avoid Penn Station at all costs.
Penn Station is a landmark, though.
It shouldn't be. The old Penn Station should have been.
It's true. That's true.
The only reason to go anywhere near that place is to go to Madison Square Garden and watch the Knickerbockers play. Or a concert, or something other than that. Yeah. Anton, my personal version of hell is being trapped in Penn Station and you're never able to get out.
So they really weren't that far off in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
I suppose so.
Just like you're just stuck in that moment, stuck in that loop?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Back to the cast of A House of Dynamite. By the way, dumb title drop.
It was a very Family Guy title drop.
Whoever she was, he must have scared the living daylights out of her.
It's like some sort of T2 Judgment Day.
This might be as good as it gets.
I think we all have some practical magic. This is turning out to be quite a Sweet Home Alabama.
That's not a real title drop, is it?
No.
Okay. Holy shit. So the title drop is given to us by Idris Elba, who plays the president. By the way, do you want to answer your own question? Are you fond of any of these group of actors?
Idris Elba. I've loved watching his career go from very successful TV actor to getting a lot of lead roles in TV and film,
He's a fantastic actor. I don't like him here.
which is why it's surprising. I think
Not a convincing American accent.
so I think this is one of the really interesting things, and the reason, of course, is the cast, so it's a bit of a giveaway. There's a lot of really great names here, but the way that the characters are written, the story structure doesn't do them a favor at all.
It doesn't do them a favor, but I mean, I was not impressed by a lot of the performances. It for lack of a better term, and the fact that it resembled a conference call, it felt like they zoomed in a lot of the work. The accents were slipping, and that's what I can't excuse. I feel kind of bad saying this because I really do like this cast. But Idris Elba, like, his British accent slipped through a couple times. That's inexcusable.
And his character as well. And I think like this is where I was confused. Is this a commentary on like the current administration? Or is it more of a commentary on, I don't know, government ineptness? Because if that's the case, then I think it's actually really hard to kind of think of this as an actual person, because I don't think this president acted particularly logically. Or was this can we really trust that this is how that they would act under duress?
I think maybe that was part of the point of the movie. But I will say, as a sidebar, I don't think this is a commentary on the current administration, because all I will say about the current administration is I don't think that the current president would go to a WNBA game.
Good point. It's a really good
Don't
point.
see that happening.
Now, okay, so sure, we can. I see your point, and like this is the first time we've gotten the. I think that was the point of the movie, but that's where I feel like it almost feels better if there was more of a, I don't know, not necessarily neutral character, but maybe something more tied to reality. It's a very distinct choice to make the president Idris Elba, and then knowing the current political climate, he looks nothing like what our current president looks like.
He does not look like our current president. I will agree with you.
So then,
I think you're onto something here.
But any point trying to be made, you see what I'm saying? It feels murky.
It does feel murky. I was praising Jared Harris earlier as one of my favorite actors. Again, with the accent, I don't know where he was supposed to come from in the United States. Didn't sound like an American. Rebecca Ferguson, her accent was lapsing into pseudo-European, pseudo-Middle America. It stuck out to me. It really did. I don't want to harp on it too much, though. I mean, it's
but
fine.
I think like it's one of the things that is distracting. It's noticeable. And in a film that's grounded in procedural reality of what would occur in this situation, you don't necessarily want distracting. You want things feeling like they're grounded in reality.
And for anyone who thinks I'm nitpicking, I just want to point out, if it were American actors trying to play British characters in a similar situation and their accents were slipping into their native American tongues, they'd get criticized for it.
Yeah.
So I'm just flipping it around. You know who does a very good American accent, though, and I want to give him credit for it? Jason Clarke is Australian.
He's
another great actor.
That is impressive. Yes.
Everything I see him in, he's great. Like, you think, remember he had that wonderful, nasty role in Oppenheimer?
Yep, that's right.
He's fantastic. One of my favorite character actors working today. I do like him in this, in his limited screen time. I don't think all of the performances were bad.
Yeah, he's been working a lot. I think we brought it up in Oppenheimer. He played Jerry West in Winning Time,
and he was great.
Yeah,
he has a real talent for disappearing into roles. Did you ever see Chappaquiddick, where he plays Ted Kennedy?
That's right.
He's pretty good.
Pretty good.
He manages to nail a often ludicrous Kennedy accent. This isn't a permission slip; it's your report card.
And then American actors that we do have in the cast, Greta Lee.
Fine.
Yeah, it's all right.
Didn't understand the character, but fine. I don't really know who Gabriel Basso is. I did like his performance.
So, interestingly enough, has done other works with Netflix. So I think like that's where he fits into this.
I think his acting is very good. The stress that he's under when he's on the call with the Russian, the foreign minister.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's really, really good. But I want to point out, I agree with something you brought up earlier, which is the story doesn't support some of these characters. So he's the deputy national security advisor, right? It doesn't make sense that nobody else would know who he is. Remember when he gets on the conference call and they're like, "Who are you?" Like they would absolutely know who he is. He's a deputy cabinet member. There's no way that who does Tracy Letts play? Like the chairman of the Joint Chiefs?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. There's no way he wouldn't know who he was. You know what I mean?
Right, and I think like that's where some of the criticism I read online is the procedural aspect of this film should not be like the key. Like it shouldn't feel too daunting of like following along, but there is a bit of it that is played up for dramatic effect when it doesn't need to be, and those are the exact examples.
How many minutes did they dedicate his character trying to get through White House security?
Way too many. Way too long.
It went on forever.
For the when you break out the different chunks, way too long.
How confused were you when Jared Harris's character committed suicide?
He's done it. His characters have done it before.
Was it like like written into the script for him? Did he like demand it in his contract? I'll do it if I can kill myself.
In the same way that like Sean Bean's like, my character has to die in this film.
They're like, well, we don't really have a way to kill your character. It's like, I'll just walk off the roof. It's fine. No problem.
In the actual story of the film, I don't think it made sense to me.
I mean, they tried to build up the fact that he had recently lost his wife and that his daughter wasn't able to get out of Chicago in time and they were estranged and oh my goodness.
But it just feels futile, but without any proper takeaway for what actually happens to Chicago or any aftermath.
We get to Greta Lee, right? Her character, fine. And then, we get, I think, frankly, there's pointless characters, like the woman who works at FEMA.
It's actually a much larger cast than I think people realize as well.
It's a much larger cast than it should be. Because the woman at FEMA, why is she in the movie to begin with? It doesn't go anywhere. We just see her getting evacuated.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's kind of it. She gets, where do they go? Raven Rock? That's the name of the facility?
Raven Rock Mountain Complex.
Right. Which, by the way, is a lot more than 17 minutes from downtown D.C., but whatever.
Underground Pentagon.
Yeah. And then, of course, we get Anthony Ramos's character where he is one of the soldiers who's running that, like, missile defense base in Alaska. We get the stealth bomber, the B-2 pilots.
Mm-hmm. But we didn't need it.
No. You know what we did need, though? Drift King.
Goodness gracious.
Did you recognize Drift King in this?
Oh my god, no.
You didn't?
Wait.
The lead Secret Service agent.
That was no way. No way.
That's Drift King. Yeah. Oh, Anton, I'm disappointed. The second I saw him, I'm like, DK. That is 100% Drift King.
Hey, I need to look at this.
Yeah. You don't believe me? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah. He reformed his ways as a semi-corrupt Yakuza drifter and eventually emigrated to the United States and became a member of the Secret Service.
That is hilarious. Huh.
Did I just enhance the film a little bit for you?
It is actually that much more enjoyable.
But is it bad if he was my favorite thing about the movie? Because he shouldn't be.
It's that's, you know what? I don't think that should ever be an indicator of quality of film, like what you enjoy about it. Because
I agree.
But does it do any favors for the quality of the film? No.
It does not. I was just so delighted to see him because he's still a working actor, and I love him. I like the commentary he has. I think he has it with Gabriel Basso's character where he talks about, this is my third president. They're all narcissists. At least this one reads the news. I thought that stuff was funny.
I'm just like, that's so funny. Brian T's still working.
Yeah. He's in a bunch of stuff, man. He was in the first Jurassic World.
Good for him.
He gets eaten by one of the dinosaurs.
Well, you know what? He's doing much better than Lucas Black.
What's he doing?
Right now?
He's working with Garrett Hedlund.
Let me check what time it is. I don't know if his afternoon shift has started at Wendy's.
You wouldn't have that problem with a V8. I can't wait to cover Tokyo Drift eventually.
I joke, but like his character is actually very entertaining.
I like him in that movie.
Yeah. He especially how am I not supposed to like him if like the opening of the film he takes out one of the sons from Home Improvement in a race.
Oh, the guy driving the Viper?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you knew this, but that scene was actually what he used for his Oscar submission.
Oh yeah, that's
Yep.
good.
Monica. No, that's not the right movie.
No.
Just wait till we cover some of those. Because I've gotten emails, by the way, from listeners like, why haven't you covered one of the Fast and the Furious movies yet? And my response to this person was, I don't think we're going to cover the ones you want us to.
Yeah, because the ones that we'll get to them. I think that's a really big franchise to start to talk about. And
Spoiler alert, I
yeah,
don't like most of them.
spoiler alert, I really enjoy the first one in Tokyo Drift. I like the second. You know what?
I
One,
love
two.
Too Fast, Too
I
Furious.
was gonna say,
I
yeah,
non-sarcastically love that movie.
I'd say one. Yeah, Fast and the Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, and Tokyo Drift are my favorites. The rest of them, I just don't care. Except for the one time.
What's the one in Brazil? That one's
That
fun.
was okay. I was saying
Yeah,
the
that
one
one's fun.
time Dominic Toretto is surrounded by all of the other gangsters, and The Rock's like, "I'm gonna arrest you," and he just, for whatever reason, just says very loudly, "Brazil."
We're still trying to avoid continuing talking about A House of Dynamite. A stupid title. Just okay. Anything to add about the cast? Because I think that covers most of the cast.
All right, just distilled, disappointing. Okay, next.
The story, I mean, I just found it to be pointless. It's a movie about nothing. I don't really know what it was trying to say. We were kind of getting into this earlier where you were like, oh, like, is it a commentary on the current administration? I don't think it is, but I'm not really sure what it is a commentary on. Just like people get incompetent under stress.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so maybe if we're too focused on the actual subject matter of imminent nuclear attack, maybe that's a metaphor for like anything. Like it could be like something stressful is going to happen and this is how people react. It's even worse then if it's just supposed to represent stress. I think especially for the runtime, it just feels so bloated in trying to tell a lesson or try to tell a story that it's such a shame that they even use something with such weight, because there are other films that have approached this, which, you know, we can start to talk about a little bit about a few of those films, but two films that come to mind for me that take similar subject matter but approach it in a much more effective way. Doctor Strangelove, which shouldn't be a surprise. Like
Right.
That's a really, really great example for a political commentary on a very, very like heavy subject matter, but done in a black comedy. And then I don't know if you've seen this one. It's an animated film called When the Wind Blows. Have you seen it?
I've not.
So it's I think more people I'm sure are familiar with Doctor Strangelove, but I highly recommend to anyone to see if you can find this film, When the Wind Blows. It's an 1986 animated film, and it's so well done. And it's from the perspective of a couple living in England. It's during the Cold War, so of course, imminent nuclear destruction from the Soviet Union. The difference between, of course, House of Dynamite and this film is cohesive understanding and sympathy for the characters involved, clear takeaways on the impact of the said destruction, but then also a nuanced take and interpretation of all sides involved and what the actual stance is being taken on the film. Which, if you look at all of those different things, this film completely missed.
It really did. On that note, I have a couple of suggestions that do this kind of scenario much better. By the way, Doctor Strangelove is the most obvious and the best shout for sure. War Games.
Another example.
One of my favorite 80s movies.
Really quick, I forgot to mention this. David Bowie did the theme song for When the Wind Blows.
Oh, that's a good reason to check it out then.
Yeah.
How have I never heard of this?
It's really good. Like, if you've never, like, it'll be a treat watching it. It'll stick with you for a long time, but it's really good.
Noted. So, War Games, and then, have you ever seen 13 Days?
Oh, yeah, man.
Brilliant, underrated film about, real life, the Cuban Missile Crisis. We were talking about questionable Bostonian accents earlier. Kevin Costner gives a great one in that film. But all joking aside, I think that movie is like amazing, and like no one's seen it, and it made no money.
Yeah, I don't know if you had this on your list, but Threads is one that gets brought up a lot.
I haven't seen it, but
Yeah.
it popped up in my research for sure. And then
Yeah.
this is not a movie because whatever you do, don't see the movie of The Sum of All Fears because it sucks. But if you ever read the book, it is like edge of your seat stuff. A nuclear bomb goes off at the Super Bowl and it brings the U.S. and the Soviets to the brink of World War III. And it's great, great stuff from Tom Clancy.
I think maybe even just this one, let me know if you think this is a good fit considering the subject matter. Grave of the Fireflies.
I haven't seen it.
It's another one. If you can, if that one's on HBO Max, I'd check it out. But
Is it animated?
it's a Ghibli one.
Oh, maybe I have seen it.
Yeah, and it's about the aftermath of Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
Oh yeah, I have seen that
yeah.
movie. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's utterly depressing.
It is a downer. Could you throw Crimson Tide on this list?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because that movie's awesome.
If we're going along the same post-apocalyptic terror, maybe do we touch on Congo? No, I'm just kidding.
Congo. I have The Day After written down. I mean, I watched that in school as a kid. It's probably pretty cheesy now, but
12 Monkeys. I don't know why I put that down.
12 Monkeys is an awesome movie.
Different.
Well, the point we're making is that there are far better versions of this story that you can watch that are far more entertaining.
Yeah, but it's
by the way, Anton, I don't need a story to be spoon-fed to me. I'm not saying that, but this film is just so lazy to me. It is so unsatisfying. Like, the basic requirements I have for a film, like, can you give me a beginning, a middle, and an end? Can you tell me a story?
And it doesn't even have to be in chronological order, right?
No.
Like, can you give me a point of the film? And can you make the takeaway digestible? Sure, maybe I have to watch it a couple times to really, quote unquote, get it. But I don't think that this film really requires multiple watches to get it.
It doesn't. How many times did you watch this to prepare for this episode?
I had to watch it a couple times.
I'm so sorry.
Just to make sure that, like, I wasn't missing anything. But
could you classify this as hyperlink cinema?
Hyperlink cinema. I mean,
there's a term you don't hear anymore.
But it's not even a good example.
I don't even know that it is, and if it is not a good example. You're right. But the only reason I bring it up is that this did kind of remind me of like Syriana or Traffic or Babel, just dumber.
Yeah. Again, just very, what is it? It's non-linear, different POVs. But even then, like the example of Babel, that's like a better... Okay, I got thoughts about that movie. I would prefer watching Babel over this movie.
100%.
Yeah.
Way better performances.
Traffic, that movie came out of nowhere that year. It won Academy Award.
Have you seen Traffic recently?
No, it's been a while.
This might be a hot take. It's kind of dated.
I think it was dated when it came out.
I rewatched it a couple years ago. That was really the height of, oh, look, a movie set in Mexico. Let's make it bright yellow. Watching it now, you're like, I don't know. It's kind of dumb looking. It's got some great actors in it, though. Great performances.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool cast. I think
Del Toro is astounding in that movie.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. Was
Michael
that
Douglas?
Del Toro?
It's where he found true love.
That's true.
It's where he began his, shall we call it, quest for getting cancer?
His what is it? Michael Douglas wasn't afraid to really dig deep. I don't know.
How do you think that conversation with his wife went? Where he's just like, look, I know that you might think it was the millions of cigarettes that I smoked, but what I think it was your...
I don't... How do I think the conversation went? She's like,
let me tell you something, Roxy.
She's like, it can do that? One of my favorite Family Guy gags is like, Michael Douglas is in the room and he's just very old. He's like, I'm married to Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Well done, sir. Still married? Still happy?
Yeah.
They're a power couple or whatever the term is. I don't know. Yeah, so we're not sure if this is hyperlink cinema. I don't know how much... What I don't know about the film, and this is something I still don't know after reading that nuclear whatever it's called, nuclear war scenario,
Does it?
is the whole concept of launch on warning, where they don't even know where the missile's coming from, but let's just nuke everyone. I don't know how realistic that is. I've heard evidence for and against it. This is one of the things I was telling you earlier. Like, I would just prefer not to know.
So that was the thing with the film Where the Wind Blows. It touches on this aspect of like mutually assured destruction. And I think that this film kind of takes that concept, but like skirts it completely, because there are protections in place, right? It's like, okay, well, we have this, so you won't attack us because it would mean your destruction.
Right. Which worked for years, decades.
Yeah.
That just worked between us and the Soviets.
I feel like knowing that that's also been the crux of like all these films that touch on the same subject matter. What does this film say different from those? What does this film say about society now approaching these conversations? It almost, the more I think about it, the more I feel like this concept or even this film feels dated because it doesn't take a stance on things.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I guess what the film tries to address, or semi tries to address, is why doesn't the president just wait until the missile hits? There's no reason to go full scale attack on everyone else. And it's also like, okay, you're responding to who? Everyone? You're just gonna trade Chicago and nuke everybody else?
Makes no sense.
I forget. Like, does Gabriel Basso's character suggest just waiting for the missile to hit and then assessing who did it?
Yeah.
First. Oh, he does. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they would be able to figure that out.
But then he says, "But this is your decision."
Right.
Yeah.
When then he uses that phrase, it's either surrender or suicide, which seems insane. I guess the whole concept of nuclear strategy is kind of insane.
Right. I think commentary-wise, it puts into perspective, or it does put into perspective for people, whoever sits at the presidency does have that final say, no matter who it is.
The other thing, too, that kind of, again, they try to explain it with some dialogue, but it just seemed nuts to me. The United States is facing its first ever incoming ICBM, and they only attempt 2 interception missiles, both of which fail, right?
Right.
And they're just like, screw it. We can't launch anymore because we might need the rest of them later on. It's like, so they're going to just let Chicago get nuked.
And that's where you have to assume that it's just bad storytelling, because there's no aftermath to show the repercussion of that decision.
It has some phrases that I like we're trying to hit a bullet with a bullet, medium rare or well done. Like, oh, that's all like memorable dialogue, but I don't know. It's everything, just nothing has a conclusion. I don't know what the point is to everything. It's so literally anticlimactic, but it's just so unsatisfying. I'll never rewatch this.
Yeah, I don't, and I think that's where the entertainment for me, it just, when there was momentum, my hope was that it would continue to progress further and further, or at least have some sort of takeaway for the film, some sort of lesson that any viewer could learn. But all it does is really just, it's a head scratcher, and not the right questions too. It's kind of more, where's the rest of this movie?
And then we get the president telling is it the guy who's carrying the football, right?
Right.
He tells him, I heard this thing on a podcast. And you're just like, oh no.
Goodness. Which again, what is that a commentary of?
I don't know. I'm sure someone will write in and tell us. Also, that FEMA plot doesn't go anywhere. That takes up a good chunk of screen time. Yeah, doesn't go anywhere.
I just want to make this clear to our listeners as well. I don't need a one-to-one commentary of our current administration. Okay? I don't need complete character representation to get the director's perspective on what they think specific individuals would do under like a specific scenario. What I do want is a clear perspective and resolution for the actions of the characters, and then something for us to ponder on from those decisions. I think basically what I'm saying is I just want the next part of the movie.
I read online that if you wait till the end of the credits, you can hear an explosion, and I didn't care enough to verify that. So if that is true, This film can go screw itself.
It's one of the worst things that I read online about that argued for the film is that it's meant to just make you ask questions. There's no answers that are going to be satisfying enough considering the premise. It's all meant to make you ask questions. And all I have to say to that, that's
lazy.
That's very lazy.
Cowardly is what it is.
For this budget, that's terrible.
Look, when this film was over, I was so pissed off that I immediately took my phone out and tried to ascertain, was there a writer's strike that like hampered this movie's screenplay? Didn't appear to be one.
I turned off football to watch this film. I don't know which I would be more disappointed to watch on a Sunday, but I'll tell you this: watching this film put me in a downer mood, not because of the subject matter, but because I just wasted my time watching a film.
Well, I am hoping we can redeem ourselves this weekend because the new Knives Out movie will hit Netflix, and I have higher hopes for that.
Yeah, I'm a bit more optimistic for that. And like,
yes, absolutely.
It's just kind of it's funny. It's ironic. It's everything. It's touching on a few things where Netflix has done before. Like big names, big director, a lot of flash and sizzle, but not much of a film.
This is a clunker. Look, I don't have anything else to add. I can give my rating now if you want. I don't really want to talk about this movie anymore.
Go for it.
There is nothing more frustrating to me than wasted talent. That is what this movie is. It is a well-made thriller. I liked the score. I forgot to mention that earlier. I thought it was a very effective score. It has a lot of great actors in it, putting in, I'd say, semi-credible performances, but the accents kind of messed that up a little bit for me. This is just a giant tease that chickens out on giving us any kind of conclusion. I don't need a happy ending to enjoy something. I just need something, anything.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a story. This would be fine if it were the first episode of a series, but it's not. This is allegedly a film. It's barely a film. This is a 40-minute short film that is stretched across 2 hours thanks to some very pointless storytelling. The extra POVs don't go anywhere. They don't add anything. And there are a number of, frankly, pointless supporting characters who add an equal amount of nothing. This is a massive disappointment from Kathryn Bigelow. This is easily the least interesting, worst movie that I have ever seen from her. This is a turd. I think it's rightfully gotten the ridicule that it deserves. I want these 2 hours of my life back. I had way more fun talking with you, Anton, about this film than I did watching this. This is an F. I'll never rewatch this. There was nothing I liked about this. I have no reason to recommend this to anyone. Total failure for me.
I think a film like this deserves a very succinct review. It's not fun. It's a concept of a film. And if the concept of the film would work better as a short film, that says a lot. Because this is not an inspired, unconventional choice in storytelling that ends up being better after you watched a few more times. This is, however, a very compelling subject matter. And I think maybe that's what people are too focused on, is that, but this is such an important conversation. And I do agree. I think it's an important conversation. I think it's a very important subject matter, but don't get it twisted. This film does not approach it with anything meaningful. It feels very bloated. It feels like a waste of time, and it's just disappointing. Watch any of the other films that we listed in this episode, and you'll see how to approach a subject matter in film in a much more effective way. This is an F. I'm never going to see this again.
Fails from both of us. There is nothing else to say about A House of Dynamite. That is it for this edition of Why Wasn't It Better? As always, we thank you for listening. If you are new to the pod, please give us a follow, a subscribe. Please, we encourage you to leave comments on YouTube and Spotify. You can follow us on all the major social medias. We have a Patreon as well if you want to support us there. It's www.patreon.com/WWIB podcast. Thanks for listening and see you next time.